When traditional BI systems try to work with Hadoop, it generally leads to role definitions and policies that are fragmented. This is because the roles have to be defined in multiple places, once within the BI system and another time within Hadoop, and once again for each of any intermediate data marts, warehouses, and extracts. Arcadia's Converge analytics platform takes a Hadoop-centric approach by leveraging the native security within Cloudera's distribution for Hadoop. Arcadia uses the centralized roles defined within Cloudera Sentry, which inherently makes it less error-prone and lowers the risk of security leaks by ensuring that Arcadia is always in sync with the Sentry roles. So for example, if a user no longer belongs to the marketing team, they will immediately lose access to the marketing datasets within Arcadia. Let's take a closer look of how this works. By being fully integrated with Cloudera Manager, deploying and configuring Arcadia Enterprise is straightforward. Once Arcadia Enterprise parcels have been deployed and activated, there are a few steps required to enable Sentry within Arcadia. Here we have a Kerberos cluster running the latest Arcadia Enterprise with Sentry. First, we need to ensure Arcadia service user is added to the Sentry allowed connecting users. Once that is done, we next make sure to set the Sentry service, name, and server within Cloudera Manager configuration for Arcadia Enterprise. Once configured, Arcadia Visualization Server will automatically pick up roles from the Sentry server to be used within the UI. Here we have logged in as Arcadia Site Administrator, ArcAdmin01. Let's navigate to the Manage Roles to view the current list of Sentry roles. Here we see 6 roles mirrored from Sentry. Arcadia also allows site administrators to define local roles outside the purview of Sentry, which means even more flexibility for permissioning by administrators or when Sentry is not being used. Now that we've configured Arcadia Enterprise to sync with Sentry through Cloudera Manager, let's take a closer look at the data we want to secure. We have 2 databases or schemas set up within the cluster that are used to store marketing campaigns and application log events for security. These can be viewed within Hue by logging in as administrator, navigating to the Metastore Manager. We can see the 2 databases that we want to secure access to. For example, we want the marketing analyst to only work within the marketing schema and not see anything else. Same goes for, let's say, the analyst within the security team. Now, it's fairly easy to define such rules through the Sentry UI within Hue without having to jump to the command line or editing configuration files. Now the user we have logged in as is also a Sentry admin who has the ability to grant roles and privileges. By jumping to the security page, we see that there are 6 roles defined within Sentry. This mirrors what we saw earlier within Arcadia Visualization Server. Now let's add 2 new roles to Sentry. The first role is going to be for the marketing team, and we're going to call it the marketing analyst role. And let's save it. Let's add a second role for the security team. This time we'll call it security analyst. Now, we also need to actually assign groups to these roles. So for the security analyst, we're going to add the security group. And for the marketing analyst, we're going to assign the marketing group. Now the next and final step is actually to assign privileges. Now what we're going to do is going to give the security analyst role access to the security database. And for the marketing analyst, we're going to give them access to the marketing database. Now that we've defined the roles and privileges and assigned the groups in Sentry, let's jump back to the Arcadia UI to see how to leverage them. Let's log in as the site administrator and go to the Manage Roles page. Now we see two new roles that were just added through the Hue UI for Sentry. As mentioned previously, Arcadia automatically detects the roles and mirrors them. In other words, importing the Sentry-defined roles for reuse within the Arcadia system. Now, let's click on one of these roles to explore what's there. Let's skip the Privileges tab. We'll get to that in a bit. But within the Members tab, we will see all the groups that have been assigned to this role. As we would expect, the Marketing group has been assigned to the Marketing Analyst role. Now that we confirm the roles and group memberships mirrored from Sentry within Arcadia, we need to configure the visualization privileges. Let's jump back and explore the Privileges tab. Within Arcadia, there are three main components that privileges can be applied to. At the highest level, we have System. These are things such as managing connections and users and viewing system logs. Next, we have the connections themselves. These are the data sources which users connect to. And finally, data sets, the objects on which visuals are built on. In the case of the marketing analyst, we will give access to the marketing campaign dataset. Now, this already has several visuals and applications created on it. For that dataset, we will not only give the analyst the ability to view these visuals, but also be able to create new applications or perform visual exploration. Let's save that. And let's jump to the security analyst. For the security analyst, we will give them access to only the security dataset. In this case, it's called the security logs. But in this case, we will not give them the ability to actually manage and create new visuals or perform exploration. It'll be purely a view-only privilege. Let's save that as well. Now that we have configured visual privileges, let's log in as a member of each group and see role-based access control in action. As the first user, let's log in as our marketing analyst. Navigating to the apps page, we see that this user has access to only a subset of the visuals and apps based on the marketing dataset. Here's an example app called Social Summary that's purely based on the campaign dataset. Here we see some info about social engagements, some crosstabs, and also a trellis of line charts. If we navigate to the dataset page, we see that this user, again, has only visibility into the marketing campaigns dataset. Now, if this user wants to perform some ad hoc analytics or wants to create a new visual, they can simply click on the new visual link. In this case, they can do something, basic, such as, for a data set, look at the solicitation replies, and we can do this as a bubble chart. And then they can simply save this. As a new visual. And then navigating to the apps page, they see their new visual available to them. Now let's log in as a second user. In this case, let's log in as a security analyst. With a security analyst, we see that they have access to a completely different set of visuals and apps. Here's an audit application that they have access to, which has some events data, some trend lines, and some raw logs. And in going to the dataset page, we see that they have access only to the security logs dataset. And if you recall, we only gave read access or view access to visuals and apps for this particular security role. And notice that this user, when they log in, does not have access to any sort of new visual creation capabilities. And that's what's special about the Arcadia implementation, is that it is RBAC aware. It's role-based access control aware. So menus, options are all based and tied to the sorts of privileges that are assigned to this user. Thank you for watching this tutorial on Arcadia Enterprise integration with Cloudera's Sentry for role-based access control. If you have any questions about this demo or any other questions about Arcadia Converge Analytics platform, please reach out to us.